definitely a milestone for delivering adequate affordable housing, sustainable urbanization for the African continent. Allow me to say that I basically feel at home because I came from Africa to meet you here and just came from the African Urban Forum, it sounds like yesterday, but also the UNHABITAT, the Sustainable Development Forum, where I had the opportunity also to meet some of you. So it seems to me it's a continued and permanent and solid discussions that we are having within the UN system with the African Union. So congratulations for the fantastic forum in Kenya. You both hosted a fantastic forum in Nairobi, and you enabled us from the United system to be together, collectively collaborating with you. I think this is the spirit of the reform of the UN, the regional reset, and so make sure that we really work grounded on the context where we operate. I recall specifically from that meeting on the African Urban Forum, the breakfast meeting that we had. We convened to discuss the new urban agenda and the clarity of Africa's perspective and the relevance of bringing Africa's perspective from Nairobi, from the declaration, to New York, where we are going to review the new urban agenda at its midterm in July. So it's critical that we are having this conversation today. So really would like to acknowledge the leadership of the African Union Commission, the partnership with Kenya and UNHABITAT. This is a teamwork, and we really appreciate this collaboration. It's excellent. I have no words at all levels. So it's all clear to us in all this forum that we have been together, that urbanization is there already. It's no longer something for the future. It's just, literally beyond our doors. We have already 50% of Africans living in urban areas, but we estimate that in 2050 it will rise. We are expecting hundreds of millions of people to come to cities, 600 to 900 million people coming to cities in Africa, and they are there today. We have metropolitan areas, metropolitan challenges that we need to address, but also we have the growing secondary, intermediary cities that we have to look with attention. The outcomes, the declaration really shows that there is vision and there is leadership. So I would like to bring 4 points for our discussion here today, and we identified from the Nairobi outcomes. So first of all, in the urbanization process, bringing housing at the center, understanding that without housing urbanization, the urbanization process will end up being chaotic and exclusive. And on the other hand, if we bring housing at the center, we also generate opportunities for development, because housing does have a multiplier effect. It contributes to the GDP, it contributes to local economic development, it unlocks jobs, it has a very strong and robust value chain. We also discussed the issue of addressing the challenges of informal settlements, mapping, embedding them in the planning, and really addressing in terms of upgrading, in terms of, if needed, replacement of the structures and integration to the city. The second point is that land is central. We discussed at length at the African Urban Forum the existing land systems, but the need to really have efficient, transparent, and inclusive land governance. Land is the most expensive input for housing. Without land, of course, there are no houses, but we need to have systems that allow the increase of supply of land for housing, and also allow us to recognize and improve the existing informal settings, access to services, access to water, and so on. And happy to see that the African team at UNHABITAT have put land at the center for transformational change in the state of African cities report. The third aspect is about finance. And we discussed extensively financing, and we discussed the need, of course, to tap into the international resources. But I think, for me, the main message is that we need to leverage domestic resources. And there is no way to deal with housing, in the long term. You can have small projects in the short and medium term, but in the long term, you need solid financial systems, housing finance systems at the national level. You need cities that are empowered with financial capacities to deal with the housing challenges. And I have to repeat what President Lulu said yesterday at the opening, because the numbers are very impressive still in my head. We discussed that $4 billion US within 3 years to generate 270,000 houses. We just had a conversation with Angola in the last couple of years, 15 years, 10 years, 350,000 houses, also leveraging the resources. So leveraging domestic resources is critical, and there are solutions out there, and that can be, maxed out, principles can be extracted, and we can work at the continental scale based on these principles, mechanisms, and models that are already working in Africa. And finally, in relation to that, let's look at the African solutions. I spoke about finance, but there's also urban planning. There's also how housing connects with the opportunities, how the materials are used. We are talking a lot about locally produced materials, indigenous knowledge, traditional knowledge, how the decision that we take about materials will imply in our carbon footprint. And we have a lot in Africa already, in the forests, everything, all the resources that Africa can generate, and the solutions that are out there. So I believe there's a need for us to reshape our minds and not think about urbanization in Africa or any place with preconceived images of how a city should look like or a house should look like. We have to look at the cultural aspect and build on that. And finally, of course, we need to monitor. So I'm glad that we are working on this implementation scorecard with the ministerial action plan. So we have a declaration, we have an action plan, we have solutions, and we need to monitor. So excellencies, count on me, count on UNHABITAT to keep supporting the organization of Africa to connect these dots between Nairobi, Baku, here we are, New York, connecting regionally Addis, at all levels, because this is the way to go, going from local to global, regional, and we have now many opportunities with this collaboration and with the midterm review of the new urban agenda, upcoming COPs this year, but also COP32 that's taking place in Africa. So these are the platforms that we need to max out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Evie, for extending Habitat's commitment to the member states and the work we're doing. I was just being informed that the ED has to be in another session right now. And before we move, just to say the executive thank you, and she'll be leaving as we commence. Now I'm going to, it's my honor to really bring to us the holder of the Nairobi Declaration, Honorable Excellency Alex Ohome, the Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry